Cool. So, gonna be discussing chapter 8, creating the movie's controller. So, basically, in this chapter, we create a movie's controller. And this movie's controller um, is what we use to access the DAO file. So, the DAO meaning the data access object file, which basically handles helps with the interaction between the database and the application. So in the API folder, we create a new file, movies.controller.js, with this code over here added to it. So let's discuss what it actually does. So basically here we have our movies controller, and essentially, this is basically what helps with requests from users. So it basically receives requests from users and calls the right functions in the DAO, which talks to the database, and then sends a response usually in JSON format. Let's have a look at it. So we have the class here, which is our movies controller. So the main idea of this class, this movies controller, is it handles what should happen when the client makes API requests about movies. So whether it's a get request, post request, a put request, it handles those requests. So here we have a function that handles the request to get a list of movies, and that function is our API get movies. Has rec and res as parameters, so request and response. And then here in this line, it displays what is typed in, or if that's not displayed, it displays 20 movies. Variable movies per page, and within it we have request query movies per page. And if that is true, then basically this will run. So it will pass an integer to all the movies that we show in the front end. If not, it shows 20 movies. Here it displays what is typed in, or page 0. So request query page, right? If that's true, then it changes it to an integer, which is the page. Or if that's not true, then it shows 0 pages. Then here is an empty object. So what's usually typed in is pushed to this filters object over here, which is the updated values. Then if the URL includes the rating, right? So when we put in the URL and it includes the rating, right? So like rated PG, if that's like included, for instance, then it will filter our search by the rating. Here, saying if the request basically includes the title, then it will filter the search that we have by the title, the movie title. Then over here we have basically here is what links the movie's DAO to access the filters. So this variable with movies list and total number of movies. Within here we have called the movies DAO, which is here. This is the data access object which interacts with the database when it comes to requests for a movie. So we call that, and we have our get movies function, right? So the get movies function is called within our movies DAO, and that is called so that we are able to get the specific movies from the database according to what is filtered, the page and the movies per page. Then this is the response that displays in JSON format. So over here we have response, and then the key value pairs for movie, page, filters, entries per page, total, results. So whatever the movie is, or whatever the movies are, the pages, the filters, the movies per page, and the total number of movies. Then basically here it gives the response of the movies in a JSON format. Then we have here API get movies by ID function. This is getting the movie by locating its specific ID for that movie. So it looks for the parameters was typed at the end of the URL. So the ID basically. So if the ID is there, it gets that ID for that movie. And within here we have the variable movie, and we're calling this function get movies by ID from the movies DAO, which is this function over here. And this basically just gets the specific movie by locating its ID. Then then here we have this if statement where it's basically handling an error if the movie isn't found by that ID. So if the movie's not found, it will basically give us a 404 error message. But if it is found, then it gives us a response of the movie's details in JSON format. So like this is an example of like one movie with its details over here, essentially in JSON format. Then we have this catch block which basically logs an error if the movie is not found, or if the server is not running. Then we have this API get ratings. This is specifically for getting the rating of a specific movie or the ratings of the movies. So we have a try block which responds with a property in JSON format. So within property types we call the get ratings function for movies DAO, which is located over here, and it's specifically getting the ratings from the database for the movies. So all the movie ratings. Here it gives the response of the ratings in JSON format. Then there's a catch block. If those ratings are not found, it shows this error. And that's basically how the movies controller works. It handles the requests from users, and it calls the specific functions from the movies DAO so that it can make requests to the database and retrieve data from there.